One of the things that occurred to me a few years ago is volunteers and the time that volunteers have to help you. Most of the volunteers that work with me are young moms, typically. We have a few dads, but mostly young moms, and they have zero time.
Mm-hmm.
They are, they mostly have full-time jobs, or they're homeschool moms, which is a full-time job. They cart their kids, do one thing to the other. And so back in the day, the Sunday School Board and the Southern Baptist Convention said, you should have worker meetings. You should have weekly worker meetings, and you should have monthly worker meetings, and you should gather all these people together, and you should meet, and you should plan together. That is not going to happen, okay? In the 21st century, we don't have time for that, and you can try if you want to, and maybe have success with that, but I tried and it wouldn't work, so we weren't going to do that. So I came up with this brilliant invention. It is called the 1 gallon Ziploc bag. I wish I did invent it, but the 1 gallon Ziploc bag, and so this is not full of those. Okay, I'm just putting one here because it's a bag, and so we have the bag. Okay, and I have a basket of these kinds of activities that are in 1 gallon Ziploc bags, and if they're, some activities are a one-shot deal. You do it one time, no more, correct? But if it's a keeper, then I keep them in the bag so that I can go back to it. And so I have a basket where they sit. But in the 1 gallon Ziploc bag, I have succinct directions for the person wanting to do it. For example, here's one. And what this was playing ancient words on boomwhackers. Ancient words that is all. Okay? And so it has everything you need except the boomwhackers are not in the back because they won't fit. So, okay. But it has the charts with the color-coded pictures on the charts. So that's in there. And then it has succinct directions, including the melody lines, so that when they put the chart together, that's what it's supposed to look like. And why are we doing it? And then the list of things that they should have, which is the four pages and 1 octave of boomwhackers, so they know they're going to have about 8 kids. Point out the time signature. This is what they're going to do. They're going to point out the time signature, talk about 3/4, and the kids are going to help remember what is 3/4 and what does the 3 stand for, what does the 4 stand for, echo clap the rhythm of the words, speak the rhythm of the words, play the rhythm of words using the boomwhackers. So they actually play all the words. And then we're going to sing while playing the melody on the boomwhackers. So to have more than 8 kids, the kids take turns playing and singing. Anyway, very succinct. So that the idea is that I think this was for my worker, Allison, and Allison could run in when the kids get there, and while I'm rehearsing an anthem, she can take us to the corner and go, and she's got it. Okay. Now, not everybody can do that, not every worker can do that, but many of them can. And so you have, that would be somebody with a little bit more musical ability, but then you have other things that are for less ability. This is one that actually was, if you use the Growing in Grace materials, okay, you have those kid pages. I'm not big on lots of things with pencil and paper, so what I did was I laminated, it was a game board. Board games, we were just talking about that. And so instead of everybody having a copy, or 2 kids having a copy, we laminated one and they divided into teams. And this is called Follow Me. I think this was year 1. And it has instructions on there. But I took... Did you want to do that again? I needed it.
Speaking of technology.
Bang a drum. Well, okay. But instead of writing out on this one, since it was a kid page, it already had instructions, okay? And I marked out, I was like, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. And it says closing prayer, dismiss from small group. You know, whatever it is. And then everything you needed was in the kit. This needed scripture, so it had scripture cards. And obviously I was in a hurry and didn't have time to print these again because I ran out of ink. But it was good enough, you know, for them to use for that little activity. And it needed a spinner, so the spinner was in there. So everything is in the 1 gallon Ziploc bag. I know, it's such a simple thing and so easy, and that's the end of my session. Okay, but that's sort of where this whole thing came from, was the idea of it's in the bag. And then I got to thinking about how my life would just be empty. An empty bag. If it weren't for bags, it would be so empty because so much happens that goes in the bag. So I have in my suitcase some things that I'm going to whip out that are activities, so they're in the bag. So we're not going to do these kind of activities because that wouldn't be fun. But you can put a book in a bag and you can read a book. And I told you about this book yesterday, some of you, and some of you don't know it. How many of you know this book? Is this the greatest book ever? Yes. I got to share it. I got to share it. My friend Dora Ann Purdy introduced me to this book. And if you know anything about Dora Ann and Terry Taylor, that they used to have a company called Dot Music. And when they were in the process of starting that company, a lot of their friends were sort of in on praying and helping and doing various things to help support them in that. She came across this book called The Dot. So I must share it. And there is a video of this that you can, I think it's just YouTube, that you can find called The Dot. But this is great for anybody connected with the arts. Art class was over, but Vashti sat glued to her chair. Her paper was empty. Vashti is very unhappy looking. Her paper is empty and everyone else is gone. Vashti's teacher leaned over the blank paper. Ah, a polar bear in a snowstorm, she said. That sounds like me. Very funny, said Vashti. I just can't draw. Her teacher smiled. Just make a mark and see where it takes you. Vashti grabbed a marker and gave the paper a good strong jab. There! Her teacher picked up the paper and studied it carefully. She pushed the paper toward Vashti and quietly said, now sign it. Vashti thought for a moment. Well, maybe I can't draw, but I can sign my name. And so she signed it. The next week, when Vashti walked into art class, she was surprised to see what was hanging above her teacher's desk. It was the little dot, and she had drawn her dot, all framed in swirly gold. So she framed it. I can make a better dot than that. She opened her never-before-used set of watercolors and set to work. Vashti painted and painted a red dot, a purple dot, a yellow dot, a blue dot. The blue mixed with the yellow, she discovered that she could make a green dot. Vashti kept experimenting lots of little dots in many colors. If I can make little dots, I can make big dots too. Vashti splashed her colors with a bigger brush on bigger paper to make bigger dots. Vashti even made a dot by not making a dot. At the school art show a few weeks later, Vashti's many dots made quite a splash. Vashti noticed a little boy gazing up at her. You're really a great artist. I wish I could draw, he said. I bet you can, said Vashti. Me? No, not me. I can't draw a straight line with a ruler. Vashti smiled. She handed the boy a blank sheet of paper. Show me. The boy's pencil shook and he drew his line. Vashti stared at the boy's squiggle and then she said, And it's a great story about visual art, but it works for music too, doesn't it? You have the kid, I can't sing, and a lot of them have been told, you can't sing. We don't need to do that. We don't need to be those people, do we? But a great little reminder. It came out of the bag. Okay. What else comes out of the bag? Ooh. Some of you were in here this morning. Okay, and I didn't get to the game, so I put it in the bag. This is an activity that, you remember Allison? Allison that did that bag? I always gave this one to Allison to do. This is rhythm game, and it's for older children, starting about 3rd grade. Can play this. This morning we did the zoo plates for the little guys, but now we're going to move up to older guys. So I need about 6 people to sit with me on the floor. So you have to be able to sit on the floor and get up. So we are not yet to get off the floor. We'll help you get off the floor, but we're not picking you up. So come on down and you can form a circle. And listen, we want to right here. First we'll have to look at that. It's great women. Okay, and I'm going to do it too. And you will have to do it up. But you have these are zoo plates. I'm so sad because it's hard to find these anymore. Okay, you used to could find them at Walmart, just all kinds of places, anywhere. They used to have it on the ends of the aisles at Walmart, and you grab them. And whenever I would see them with a new picture on the front, that meant there were maybe 2 or 3 new ones in there, and I would buy them. So if you saw the whole stack that I have, they're about this tall. So I have lots and lots of those. And I used them in public school, I used them in private school, I used them in church with kids from preschool up through high school. We would do. In this particular game, starting in 3rd grade, I would do it with my middle school kids in private school, and they would do this so fast that I often couldn't keep up. You guys up there can come stand anymore, because all you're going to see is that big ugly box. It has to be there. But this is a little take on that old game. Some of us, everybody has to have a different one, some of us called rhythm. And I remember playing it in an elementary school class when I was a kid. And that's all it was called, is rhythm. Make sure I don't want to do that one. I don't want to do that one. Does anybody have this one? Okay. But this is just a little different take on it. You have to turn them so that everybody around the groups and see your critter. And the hardest part is knowing what the animal is. And we all have our own opinions of that. So this is going to be cobra, and you are lion. Let's call that lion, and you are zebra, gator. Let's call him gator because trust me, it's easier to say gator than alligator. Giraffe, tiger, and monkey. Okay, so we all agree on that. So we're going to do a little rhythm pattern, and it's going to be like this. Oh, we can do that. Let's try it. And that's going to be ad nauseum. That's just going to keep going and going and going, okay? But that's not all there is to it, obviously, or we wouldn't have these things in front of us. So I'm going to say my plate, and then I'm going to say her plate. Okay, so I'm going to do it on the snaps. The first snap is always good. If you're speaking, the first snap is yours. The second snap is someone else's. So we are just going to go around the circle. So I'm going to go, cobra, lion. And she will go, lion, zebra. And she'll say zebra, gator. Got it? All right. And so we'll go all the way up and get that to me, and then we'll get to play the part. Okay, here we go. Cobra, lion. Lion, zebra. Zebra, gator. Gator, giraffe. Giraffe, tiger. Tiger, monkey. Monkey, cobra. Okay, good. And that works so well with these ladies. Okay, sometimes it takes a long time to get around the circle. One time. Okay. Obviously, we wouldn't do that for very long. We want to jump around the thing. So we have little rules, okay? I'm going to say maybe cobra, giraffe, okay? So then it's her turn. And she can say giraffe and then anybody else she wants to. She can even say giraffe cobra. Okay, that's legal. If I say cobra giraffe back to her, then she's got to go somewhere else. Okay, so it goes boom, 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 and then it's got to go somewhere else. So you can give it right back to the person, but you can't give it back again to the person. Okay? If you mess up the name of your animal, or you say somebody else's instead of yours, or if you don't get it on the snaps, you're not out. You know what? If you know this morning, we don't do out. You get a new plate. Which makes it harder for everybody in the group, because then they got worse than you know. It's worse than
And you don't get an instrument.
And I'm hoping I think we're hoping if we suddenly mess up, we do have some more. Okay, so I'm like, I got the same one. Okay, you with me? So I'll start and I'm going to give it to somebody else. Okay, here we go. Cobra giraffe. Monkey zebra. Zebra tiger. Tiger lion. Lion cobra. Cobra bear. Bear monkey. Monkey giraffe. Giraffe lion. Lion zebra. Zebra monkey. Monkey zebra. I'm so glad you messed up because I was thinking that. All right, so you are now whale. Okay. And you just stack them up. You stack them, yeah, you stack them up. There's a real purpose behind stacking them up. Okay. All right, so we got whale. All right, we're going to speed it up. Okay, and that's the thing, and I tell them, if they speed it up, it's fine, but it must keep the steady beat. No matter how fast it goes, you still have to have that sense of steady beat, and if you can't say it that fast, you went too fast, so let's go a little faster. We're going to let you start.
Okay.
Ready? So think
What am I
about-
with?
okay. Go ahead and think now. I'm going to say, all right, ready?
Whale gator.
Gator zebra.
Zebra cobra.
Cobra tiger.
Tiger giraffe.
Giraffe whale.
Whale lion.
Lion giraffe.
Giraffe zebra. Zebra tiger. Tiger gator. Gator tiger. Tiger gator. Gator giraffe. Giraffe cobra.
Cobra tiger. They're really good. This is so fun. What we do at the end is I say, okay, who only has one play? And they'll turn in one play. One play. Because you have one play. So you get one play. You know, and who has two plays? And we take it up that way. And honestly, I have had kids who had and you remember the Biggest Loser? You know, so, oh, the Biggest Loser! And they're like, oh, yay! But it has great benefits. And this is one of those activities when the choir workers don't show up on a Wednesday night, you know, or the Wednesday night after the program, when you just need something fun and easy with not a lot of brain work, but it's still very, very purposeful learning. So I love that. So that's an activity that, as long as they have a good sense of rhythm, a volunteer can do this. They can manage this, and it will fit in a one-gallon Ziploc bag. You just have to make sure you have plenty of different ones. Now, what if you don't have the plates? Use pictures, or you can use the Beanie Babies. You can use Beanie Babies instead, so they can have those, you know, or other stuffed animals, pictures, anything like that. You can use other objects, flowers. Animals just work really well. Just animals just work so well. Okay, thank you, ladies. Let's see if they can do that. Yeah, that's my husband's favorite activity that I do. All the things that I do is that I do. So guys like this, the boys like this as well, because you're not touching anybody, you're not holding hands, you're not dancing, and not doing scarves. So boys like that. You're good at that. Another thing, by the way, while I got them, another thing you can do with these that is a great activity. is similar to what's back there. Could we move in just a minute, not right now, can we move that? Because we're actually gonna use that back wall.
Okay. Yeah.
I should have told you that, I'm sorry.
Okay.
But you can do the same thing we're gonna do back there with younger kids by putting these on the wall. And if you use like marvelous tape or something else that won't mess up your wall and won't mess up the plate, and what I do is I pick, how about, would you two ladies stand up and just be my man up front? Okay, have your banners and face the banner. So, left to right, Susan, and backwards. So I might have to hold that one in that hand, and this one in this hand, and this one, that one, no. Okay. So I have a row of them along the wall, okay? And we would say gator, zebra, lion, whale.
Gator, zebra, lion, whale.
Okay? And we would play that on perhaps a boom whacker or a drum. So I might play gator, zebra, lion, whale.
Gator, zebra, lion, whale. Gator, zebra, lion, whale.
I don't know why, but I always want to do it in threes. I don't know why. But anyway, I always do it in threes. And then we have another pattern with different animals in this part of the wall. And then another one, this is a great room, you could do bunches. We have fours patterns. Notice that all of these animals are 2 or 1 syllables. So that would be your basic level. But some of them, like there's a kangaroo, I wouldn't do those with my younger kids. That's a little bit harder. But here, this is a little bit harder because you got to get it all in one beat, see? So the other thing is if you wanted to put a rest in it, okay? Gator, zebra, whale. So you can turn it around or use just a white plain paper plate, okay? Then what you do, after we've done that, we've read all of those, you divide the children into each station, and you send 1 or 2 children to each station with a boom whacker or a drum or some other instrument. And you stand in the middle of the room, and you count off. And when you say 1, 2, ready, play, everybody in the room plays their pattern 3 times. When they get done with the 3rd time, they then rotate in whichever direction you say, clockwise or counterclockwise, to the next station. And after 8 beats, then they're ready to go, and they're going to sight read the next pattern and play it 3 times. And you continue until everybody has rotated around the room and is back at the beginning. Thank you. That was perfect. This room doesn't do well to do that because it has draperies, and it's really hard to attach these. But in the Growing in Grace fall curriculum for older children are those patterns back there. And that is basically the same activity. You'll notice that the patterns are difficult.
Yes.
More difficult than the ones we were doing. Oh, before I move on from the plates, another thing you could do then is have rhythm cards with the music symbols, and they get to run and put their music symbols to match underneath the plates so they can spell out the actual notation. That's another piece. And it could be a different week. You could do that. I don't have to do all that in one night. They can do that in different weeks. They can do that even like earlier riders. They go slap up the rhythms, and when everybody's there, they can all clap the rhythms or something. So what I need is, let's do, how many people are in here? It would be really crowded. Let's do 8 people, and we're going to move the camera. And what I need 8 people to do are to go to the table. You can get a C, D, E, G, A, C, boom whacker, or a C, D. Don't get the bells. Don't get the bells. You can use sticks. First person go to 1, and then 2, and 3, and 4. And push the chairs up close to the wall, because number 8 is going to have to run down. Everybody usually is 8, so just don't hurt yourselves, okay?
What are we doing?
Just stand in front of a number. Okay, everybody look at the numbers. We'll use this big guy. Okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Somebody want to do 7? Somebody want to do 7? Needy's going to do 7, right? Okay? Let's take look at number 1. Right, let's hear it on your instruments, everybody. And then number 2. Okay, and then number 3. Those are always hard to end on the 8th. Okay, and then and then and then I don't know why in the world I put a half note. How do you play a half note on sticks? Okay, and then we have no, excuse me, I can't do that. Play it on the camera. Yeah, tiki 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 tiki, top, tiki 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 tiki, top, and then we have tiki 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 tiki, top, tiki 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 tiki, top. Good luck on a good one for that. Now, the cool thing is, if you mess up, nobody cares. Alright, so when I start you 1, 2, ready, go, you play yours 3 times. Then you stop playing, you move down, shift down to the next number, which means 8, you have to run down to 1, and we have 8 beats to get there.
Do you take your instrument or do you?
Take your instrument. In this case, it's easier to take your instrument than to lay it down and pick it up. Okay, that's the way I always do it. And typically, we wouldn't do this in a line, we'd do it around the room. Okay, but, we got this big old open room. Okay, we're blessed with space. Okay, ready? 1, 2, ready, go. And move, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, go. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, go. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, go. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, go. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, go. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, go. Alright, is this
This is it, yeah.
Okay, that's good. Alright, so let's just talk about what happened with this, okay? First of all, what was the concentration level?
Oh,
Very high, because now I have one thing to look at a time. You've gone through all the rhythm patterns. We would have done a better job than we just did with you, because I know you can read music, obviously. So it's directional, right? We're putting together. The other thing is the independence of playing your part while you're hearing 7 other things going at the same time. It's a complicated thing that's going on in their heads, but it's in a safe way. Typically, we would have these spread out farther so that that's not right next door to you. Another thing I like to do is put 2 to 3 children at each station. Okay, so that way you got plenty of room when you go around the whole room. I I have these other sets of these. This is in that curriculum, and the cool thing about that curriculum is you could print as many copies of those as you wanted to, so they could be repeated in places around the room. But the boom whackers sound great, and you're just using the pentatonic ones, not, boom whackers, if you use the F and the B and have, it's not that offensive anyway, because not that much pitch to it, you know what I'm saying? But I liked it, playing the boom whacker with the rhythm stick isn't that easier than beating on your hand, especially when you're doing a whole lot of rhythms. So just treat the boom whacker like a rhythm stick, and then give them a drumstick or a rhythm stick to play with it. But I have had really good success with this. You can also, and see how it would work if you use the Zuplex instead. It's the same principle, but with younger kids. And you would adjust your speed for younger kids, the less experienced kids, I should say. But the great thing, you might have problems with a non-reading volunteer doing this because they couldn't help. They could do the Zuplex ones, okay, because they run along with the kids. Might have a little problem with this one. But it could still be an in-the-bag activity that you could pull out at short notice for your worker to do. You like that? Thank you, ladies, for volunteering. Getting volunteered. Getting volunteered. Also, you do shakers. That would also work. Okay, what else do I have in my bag? Here's a fun thing with pocket charts. These are, whoopsie. Let me help you.
Oh.
Got it, okay. These are, I think these are Dollar Tree. No, these are Target dollar bins. That's what these are. You know Target? Love the dollar bins. Dollar bins are great. Anything $1. But these are the little bitty pocket charts. And so I have a number of things I use with those. And these are also things in a bag, but this time it's little bags for the kids. They're little bags. I like these size bags also. To separate your little pieces. And with this one, it has the hearts. I have the big set of hearts on the tree chart. I don't like that chart, but it travels well. It folds up well. The chart that I like, the pocket chart that I like the best, is the one that's 4 colors vertical. They call it Colors. It's by Carson Delosa. And it has, I don't remember, red, green, yellow, and blue maybe. And I like that because when you look, it's very pleasing to see that each of those represents a column of beats. So you can, and this is not defined in that way. But one of the first iconic symbol that I like to use is hearts. And this packet fits really well in the little pocket charts. Then, and they sit on the floor. I'm not going to do that. They sit on the floor. Then they can put the hearts in there, then they can actually hold it up. Okay, so they can hold up their hearts. I also have the little square actual notation cards that I don't think I brought with me. They have approximately about that size little square cards that have quarter notes and 8 notes and so forth. So while we're on that topic, if I had my worker, leader, he or she would have a set of cards with the same information on it, but they would use the big pocket chart, and we could use a little pocket. And you don't have to have the little pocket charts, you can just do it on the floor, but it is nice to be able to hold it up. So we have matching hearts, and the hearts represent top or quarter note, and then I also stick in the 8 quarter rests. And so I have them in different colors. And then when I want to represent the 8 notes, we just have the divided heart, okay? On the big cards, what I did with those, is I have my hearts laminated on the front, and then on the back, I put divided hearts on the back, so that I can switch quickly from quarter notes to 8 notes. And the reason they're in color is because they match the pentatonic boomwhackers, so that we can play it. But you know, you don't have to change pitches, everybody can play everything. And I didn't bring my notation that goes with it, but behind those, typically I will put, behind every one of those will have a quarter rest, so that I can pull off a heart and leave a rest there. But you can have your, the leader of the group display something and have the youngest children just copy what's up there. Okay? And then you can practice pattern. And you can change it. Well, let's change yours too. Have them, that's a valid thing to do for, say, kindergarten, to copy what you're doing. Then you can go to, you create a pattern. And then the teacher copies the student and puts it on the board. And then you can combine patterns. Of course, everybody can have sticks or drum and they can play the patterns. But this is wonderful, and you can do this in a whole group, or you can do it in a small group. I do this often in elementary classroom. And it takes a lot of time to do this to begin with, but then you've got them forever, except for the backgrounds. I don't like the zippers. I like the ones that don't zip. I like just the, I found that out a long time ago. I like the kind that just squeeze shut because they actually last longer. That's a great little activity that you can pull out of the bag. And at short notice, and it's wholly salad. I also have hearts that I've divided into 4 pieces. So you can have your 16th notes. So then you can have another one that's like, this half is a half, and then these 2 are divided into pieces, and you can have your T-tickies or your TPTs, whatever. But these are awesome. I also have sets of other icons, like for pumpkins. You know, October, and use pumpkins and divide them in half. Or also use other symbols. I used to live in Vidalia, Georgia. Y'all ever heard of Vidalia onions? And so every year in Vidalia we had the Vidalia Onion Festival. Y'all do cheesy things like that in Texas, do you?
Oh, yeah.
And so public school, I had onions. I had the whole onion, okay, and we called that pull. You have to pull them out of the ground. And then I had the medium-sized onions were sort of stuck together, and those were picky, yes? No, pick. Those were pick, because you had to pick them apart. So you had pull, pick, and then, you know, the little salad onions, those like 4 together, those were piggies. So I had pull, picky, pull, or whatever, but those onions. And that was great when the Blue Angels are flying over your school, you know, practicing, you know, and you can't, what else are you going to do in music class that day? So you can do onion rhythms. So thank you, Blue Angels, for that. Another thing that is in the bag is hymn activities. How many of you do? You teach hymns? You teach and memorize hymns? Great thing to do. Oftentimes, that is a great volunteer thing to do, isn't it? Your volunteer can help with this. This was the hymn activity, was a worship the King, and it had sets of cards with word clues. And it had worship the King, all glories, worship the King, all glories above. Oh, and there's that. What is the gathered? Okay, I've got it. Huh? Girded with praise. And then pavilion. These were great. And maybe I should look at them. But that's a great thing for a volunteer to do. Another thing for a volunteer that might need a little more work is that there was accompaniment chords that they could play, and you could use hand chimes for this. I think it's what I intended for that. And you have the chords laid out, and they're numbered to lay those out, and it has 1, 5, and 4 little chords that go with it. And then you can put the okay, but then they could play the chords and sing accompaniment. So yet another one for another week. Lots and lots of bag activities. You know Artie Almeida? I know Artie, I think I mentioned her, she's the lady that wrote the parachute thing. Okay, she does a thing that I saw her do recently, I just forgot it. You know the song Tomorrow? Tomorrow, 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 she doesn't do it the way I do it, but anyway, that's how I do it. Okay, so you have three containers, she used bags, but I'm gonna use buckets. Okay, we have 3 buckets, and we have red cards, blue cards, and black cards. Okay, so sing Tomorrow with me. Tomorrow, 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 tomorrow. And I had a volunteer come up. And one out of each thingy. So now we have Hop on Me. Let's sing Hop on Me. Ready? Hop on me, 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 hop. Okay, I can't decide. I keep changing if I want to do that fifth or want to do the octave, but I can't decide. How about zag, E, oh that's good, zaggy hoop. Zaggy hoop. Make that nice hoop, okay? Ready? Zaggy hoo, zaggy hoo, zaggy hoo, zaggy hoo, zaggy hoo, zaggy hoo, zag, zaggy hoo, zaggy hoo, zaggy hoo, zaggy hoo, zaggy hoo, zaggy hoo, zag, zag. Blue, we'll do one more. So you know that there's another bottle. Zoo-o. I don't want to do that. I'm not supposed to look, I'm just supposed to take what's there. Oh, I like it. Fluo-goo. I think goo definitely has a flu. Okay, so we got fluo-goo. Ready? And fluo-goo, 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 flu. Isn't that fantastic? I love that. And you can go to her website. It's ARTIERT, Almeida, ALMEIDA. She has a website, and she's got numerous downloads. But put in the Chumbara, she has a PDF of those syllables. That way you don't have to make them up. Why reinvent, right? There's something else. So they're free. She's got a bunch of really cool stuff on her website that's just free downloads. Even some PowerPoint things that are really cool. She's very generous in giving away things. Check out her if you ever get a chance to go see her. But I just love that because that's something you can do right in the middle of rehearsal, and you don't have to have someone else do it. Or it can be just a separate activity. You also get to see who's doing their vowels correctly. You can move it by half steps each time, so that you do a little warm up. You can have it at the beginning of choir. Pick the kid that's paying the best attention, let them come up and, okay, you're writing the warm up today. What are you writing this? And let them do that. I love these buckets, by the way. There's another cool little thing that couldn't fit in that bag, but they could go in the bag. Pretend they're in a bag and put it in the session. But they, I bought those are like Boomaker colors, and those are Party City. Do you have Party City?
Yes.
Party City, and they're cheap. Anybody know how much? Like maybe $2. But you can use these in multiple ways. Anytime I can do match the Boomakers or the bells, we do that, don't we? We're such a colorful.
Susan, one time I had the kids
these were older kids, but they thought of 3-syllable words on a theme, so they had to do sports teams and they all had to be 3 syllables, and they got in little groups and figured it out, and then they sang their song.
Oh, good. Excellent. Did you do it to a melody?
I did it to that.
Did it to
same-
hurrah? And that works great.
Hurrah.
Ooh, I like that a lot, because then they're composing and working, teamwork and being creative, and, ooh, I like that. I'll probably put
Do
that.
the names of
I'll probably put
cities
that
you
in
can
there
do.
now.
You can do all kinds of, anything that's
Absolutely.
3-syllable.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so we talked about activities and bags and clear directions. The main thing, if you do those 1 gallon things, put clear directions and not very many, so that they can learn that quickly. Seashell. The other bag is a candy bag. Skittles. I bet you've done Skittles before. Have you done Skittles? The Skittle rhythms? Okay. At camp last week, my class, is the Alabama State Baptist Children's Camp. I know I don't live in Alabama, but I got drafted because my best friend does. She's in charge. So my class, our theme was the sea. Okay, things related to the sea, and particularly things related to Jesus and the sea. So we did our morning devotionals and all revolved around Jesus and things that happened with Jesus around the sea, which there are a number of things. If you think about it, it's a great thing. So everything we did, activity-wise, sort of had a sort of fishy thing to it. So I made a sheet. I'm going to give you this so you can have it. Seashells. Now, I do the same thing with the heart sheet, okay? That kind of goes with that. But I do the heart sheet, but this is the little, what are those, oysters? Oyster shells? I think those are oyster shells. I'm going to pretend they're oyster shells and not scallops. Let's pretend, because the Skittles are pearls. Pretend these are oyster shells, okay? But yes, I think they are scallops. Now that I know that. Okay, but anyway, so you give, everybody gets a sheet, and then they get a cup full of Skittles. And I found the greatest thing last week at Walmart, and I didn't know you could just go and buy these, and you're going to say, well, I knew that. But you know those little condiment cups that have the lids? Oh,
I found it at Walmart too. I thought, wow, this is good.
I know, write it down. They're those condiment cups or plastic cups, and they have little snap-on lids. So you can go buy the great, instead of trying to find little individual packets of Skittles, you can buy the great big thing and get a little scoop and put them in there, and then they've already got Skittles, and everybody gets the same number because they're in the same size cup. Oh, mercy, I should have known that a long time ago. But then they take the Skittles, you give them their little cup of Skittles, and of course they obviously have to do this on a flat surface, the table or the floor, and if it drops on the floor, they can't eat them, okay? And then down at the bottom, it says, 1 Skittle is swim. When it says fish on here, not Skittle, because originally I was going to use goldfish, and then I said, you know, they'd rather eat Skittles, so it became pearls. Okay, so I changed the activity, but goldfish will work as well. But 1 Skittle would be swim, 2 Skittles would be swimming, 3 Skittles would be merrily, so you have a triplet, and 4 Skittles would be fishy fishy. So you have 16 of them. So they make up their pattern. So they might have 1 here, 2 here, 2 here, none here. So we have swim, swimming, swimming. And they do the whole thing like that, and then they get to play it for the group. And by doing Skittles, they can actually color code it and play it on the bells or the boom whackers. And then the best part of all, they get to eat it. And often what I'll have them do, I say you can eat what's on the first one and then write what you put. So they write the actual notation on the sheet. Then they give their page a title and they have their composition with the names on it that they produce this. But you may pick one of these up when you leave. That can go in gallons of water. And it's a great little thing. But now listen. Don't give them this at the beginning. You know why? Let's sugar them up before we send them home. That's what we do. Okay. Then the other sheet that I do, this is so basic, but I have measured this off, and this works great for cookies. And so we do the staff and the cookies, and just spell the words like cage And so they put the cookies on the places on that, but this is the right lines for cookies. Those are already done for you, you don't have to recreate that, so you can have one of those, which is another great activity. At Georgia Music Camp, we use Oreos, but last week we used Chips Ahoy because it was a issue. Okay. Let's see, what else? The other thing, those chorister puzzles, some of you picked up before, you can take those and make those kind of things and make into an activity. I'm down to like 2 and 3. If you haven't picked them up, you can get the last ones. But that can become an activity. All you need is a little quick note to explain what to do with this. And these can be people with not great musical skills, maybe limited musical skills could do something like this. But these kinds of sheets I like because it involves, it's really an art sheet, and then it becomes a music pattern that they can then play on instruments. It has some active element to it. This is like a word search, but it's a rhythm search, so they find the rhythm patterns, and then they take turns clapping patterns to each other and trying to find it in the grid. So just clever twist on something very familiar. So I'm gonna lay all those things out for you when you leave. So, other things that are in the bag, I keep that bag of, you have a bag of your Beanie Babies that are handy. You never know. Things fall apart and you just have to stop and have something. Has that ever happened to you, or is that just me? Okay, that does happen. And then the other thing, some of you were in here this morning when we did the ball activities. Those are great to have because you just don't know when something falls apart and you need quickly. They're not getting the rhythm. Let's do some steady beat. Then we've got the things handy right there, and they're in the bag. And it's in the bag. And the last thing I have in the bag are my scarves, and they're ready to whip out at a moment's notice. It's all in the bag. Are you okay with that? Awesome. Did you get your money's worth? Any questions or comments? I love the idea of them coming up with the 3